As always with these long kind of sentence placement questions, where especially we have a very long paragraph with a lot of sentences, we want to narrow our focus as much as possible and have a good sense of what we're looking for before we start diving into the big paragraph, right? So let's look at the sentence itself, sentence 6, and see, is there anything in the sentence that's going to clue me in as to how it would fit? It's going to anchor it somewhere else in this paragraph. Well, if we look, it starts with a really big giveaway, right? However, so there's clearly some sort of contrast with whatever comes before it. And what would the contrast be? We can kind of predict it. With the rise of high-quality recording technology, reliance on court reporters as a record keeper is decreasing. Okay, well, so reliance on court reporters is decreasing, so this seems kind of negative for court reporters. So I would expect to come before it something that's positive, so that way, when we use that word however, we can see that we're flipping the meaning, something is transitioning. So now when I read, I'm not really looking at the details of what they're saying. I'm looking at the general idea, is it positive or negative? If there's a clear case where we go from positive to negative, that's where this sentence is going to go. So let's start at the beginning. Let's see what we can gain from the lines they give us. Court reporters record the spoken word in real time, most commonly using the technique of stenography. Okay, that seems maybe neutral, not necessarily positive or negative. A stenotype machine allows a person to type about 200 words per minute. The speed of speech is about 180 words per minute. It's okay. Seems like it's saying the stenotype for the reporters is good because it's faster than speech. Okay. The typed words are instantaneously translated onto a computer screen for the judge to view, and the transcript is used later by people who want to review the case, such as journalists and lawyers. Okay, so it's a benefit of the court reporters. Cool. 4. Digital audio recording is becoming increasingly popular in courtrooms across the United States, with 6 states using solely audio recordings for general jurisdiction sessions. Well, now we're not even talking about court reporters anymore. Right now we're talking about digital audio, and notice digital audio is what caused the decrease in the court reporting. So this seems to be maybe negative here. We're seeing that switch where we're not talking about court reporters in a good way anymore. We're talking about something else in a good way, and it's the thing that's replacing the court reporters. So let's keep looking. Proponents of going digital say that technology is the easiest way to get the most accurate record of the proceedings, as the machine records everything faithfully as it occurs and is not subject to human errors such as mishearing or mistyping, like a court reporter would. So right here, it's kind of a switch, right? We were talking about the things that court reporters do, and then we're switching and moving away and saying the things that their replacement does and why the replacement might be better. So this feels like a good place to drop that sentence. And sure enough, after sentence 3 is the answer here. So you might have some trouble. I don't think that it's necessarily like obvious, but notice it's a little bit easier because we were thinking in simple terms like positives and negatives and not in terms of like the narrow specifics. But we can also look at other things and say like, okay, well, we're talking about the digital stuff in 5 and we're talking about the digital stuff in 4. It would make sense to keep those two sentences together. Whereas in 1, we're talking about court reporters and then stenography, so a stenotype machine is still keeping along those lines. The typed words, it's still talking about the stenotype machine. So we are clearly grouping some sentences together. 1, 2, and 3 are kind of all in a row. They all go together. 4 and 5 kind of stick together. And then 6 is the connector sentence, the one that lets us transition from the stenography, which is the court reporters, to the recording audio, the digital, right? So it's switching, it's letting us transition between those two things, and it's not surprising that however is a transition word. These are definitely easier if you can narrow your focus to just 1 or 2 ideas as you go through. And then once you have a rough sense of where it goes, usually you can find other things that justify that answer and prove it to you. Just make sure you're not separating ideas that belong together, right? Those yellow parts belong together, the pink parts belong together. We wouldn't want to break that up, especially if we have a sentence that includes them both. So narrow your focus. These become a lot easier and take less time, which is important too.